Are you a cat lover who loves the idea of owning your own cat cafe? Then this is the podcast for you. Join me, Angeli Rodriguez, owner of the Woody Whisker Cat Cafe and author of the book Drinks and Whiskers, as I walk you through my tips and tricks to help you open a successful cat cafe. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Drinks and Whiskers podcast, the place to be to get the inside scoop on what it's like to open and run a successful cat cafe. I'm your host, Angeli Rodriguez, and I'm so excited to introduce today's guest on the podcast, Minesh Baxi. Minesh is a sought-after speaker, trainer, and business coach who is a GPS to help you achieve your goals in business. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here today, Minesh.
Well, absolutely a pleasure. My daughter Macy has spoken very highly of you.
Oh, thank
And I haven't
you.
really met you in person, but maybe next week I'm planning to stop by possibly in St. Augustine. So
Oh,
it might be a good
really?
opportunity to connect with you in person.
That would be so delightful. You got to tell me when you're stopping by. That's a nice surprise.
Well,
Um,
Macy is driving me, so
oh, excellent, excellent. So how did you get started in business coaching?
very good question. And again, I was one of those people, and I have my own podcast called From Job to Joy. I was one of those people who had, most people would agree, getting a degree and all that stuff sounds like a good plan, get a good job, you're set for life. Well,
Right.
by now, our listeners know as well, that's never the case, right? It's a journey of finding out what is really that is going to be best for you, that is a good fit in terms of your talents, your skills, and that was one of the reasons I decided to move into the direction of speaking, writing, and coaching. I was a computer programmer for 12 years. I hated my job because basically I'm a bad employee. When I say that, what I mean by that is I'm not somebody who's going to do what a job does, right? Because I like to be more independent, more creative on my own.
Mhm.
And I was always looking to get out of it, but because I was making money, it was hard. And
Yes.
I got fired. So that was the good part about that. And I
Mhm.
had to find my way through. And I already was always looking at speaking, writing, and coaching as part of my occupation. So I had to transition. It wasn't an easy one. And I'm sure when you opened your business, it wasn't easy either. So
Mhm.
that's how I transitioned 24 years ago. Since then, I've published 12 books. I've spoken to a lot of different groups. I've coached lots of successful people as well, people who are starting out, and people who have already achieved $1 million dreams as well. So my
Wonderful.
basic point is very simple. I got fired, I hated my job, and I wanted to do something I really enjoyed.
Well, that sounds like a lot of my listeners. I'm so excited for this conversation. So can you tell us in a nutshell, what does a business coach do?
Good point. So, just as a coach in general, let's talk about anything in life that you want to grow in, anything you want to improve. It's good to find somebody who already knows how to get there, right?
Mhm.
GPS is what we talked about earlier. If
Mhm.
you, and again, I'm sure you and I are a little bit old enough to know there used to be something called maps and
Yes.
clicks and whatnot, right? So
Mhm.
that generation doesn't exist possibly around listening to, who knows. But today, most people use GPS.
Mhm.
And whenever I say, hey, I want to go someplace I've never been there, my natural instinct is to go to my cell phone and start looking at how can I get there the fastest, the best, with least detours, least distractions. And the natural answer is going to be your GPS to that location. Well,
Mhm.
whenever we want something in life, the question we should be asking is who already knows how to get there? It just makes common sense, right? For
Yes,
example,
absolutely.
I've been married for 30 plus years, right?
Oh,
So most people who
congratulations.
get married don't really see that they need a coach. But unfortunately, we all do, right? Which
Mhm.
is why I've always attended training seminars and I still make mistakes. My wife will tell you that, right? Okay. And so if I want to be fit, like my son is in cross country and he's 16 years old and he has a coach and a team that teaches him what to do next. So the question I want to put to the listeners is what is a goal that you haven't accomplished yet? And you
Mhm.
really, really want to accomplish it. What's the goal that's important to you? And whatever that goal is, ask yourself who has an answer, who has either accomplished it or has helped other people accomplish that goal. So you can go to that person and say, hey, I don't want to get distracted. I don't want to take detours all the time. I want to get the fastest, to the goal so I can have the accomplishment I'm looking for.
That's
So that is what
awesome.
I call a coach. Is that making
Nice.
sense to what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely, absolutely. Um, and what do you find most exciting about being a coach?
Very good. So I love to help people see results. That's really the
Hmm.
key part. So just a couple of days ago, I was talking to a business owner locally here in Palm Coast, and he joined one of my programs for the 90-day rush because we have the last the last quarter of the year. And he said, Minesh, I want to go from a certain income to a certain income. I'm like, no problems. Because I have already helped businesses like him before. For me, it took me 2 minutes to find out what exactly he can do different.
Hmm.
And I know that by applying what I just told him, in next 30 to 60 days, he'll have another $10,000 in his bank account, right?
Nice.
Okay. And he's already started on it. He's already made progress. I know this will happen. It may happen in 30 days, not 60 days. Why? Because he is following a plan that I have given him. He's
Hmm.
executing exactly what I'm telling him, which means what? He will get there faster, right?
Nice,
What could
nice.
have taken him much longer is going to take him shorter time.
That's awesome. So, what is the most important lesson that you have learned in your business?
Well, I'm a bad student. I think I'm a good coach and a bad student. What do I mean by that? Is I think what most of us need to realize that when we are looking at the mirror, we have our own preconceived ideas, biases, and our background, which is preventing us from seeing us the way we really are. In quite a few places, I underestimate myself. In some places, I overestimate myself. And when I become very open to and submit to a really good coach, somebody who cares about me, somebody knows how to get there, and I say, okay, you know more, I should trust you long enough to be able to follow your directions because I will get there faster. And the biggest lesson for me is the same, like most people, unfortunately, is we somehow think we know better. And I'm not saying we know better in terms of arrogance, but we know our strengths and weaknesses better. Not really. Our strengths and weaknesses are programmed for a long time. And the person who wants the best for us, who has the talent skill to help us, they can see strengths in us that we don't see in ourselves. They can see our blind spot faster than we can see. And if we give ourselves that flexibility, the freedom, and say, hey, you know what? I'm open to their input. So, one of the reasons Macy is, you know her very well, she's
Hmm.
your coach in the podcasting arena.
Yes,
And
she
she
is.
just spoke at the TEDx stage as well. She has been my best student ever. I
And
tell
it's so noticeable.
you,
She's one of the youngest TED Talk speakers ever, right?
yeah,
She
she's
just did her first
amazing.
TED Talk. And she's what,
Exactly.
20,
21.
21?
Yeah. Yeah. And she did fantastic. In fact, her coach, TEDx coach, she put her as the first person in the list of 10 speakers to speak on that day. The reason she
Wow.
said that is she was best prepared, she had the best content, and best delivery.
Wow.
And if you look at, I'm biased, but you look at the 10 speakers who were on the stage that day,
Hmm.
my daughter definitely did
One
really,
of
really
the
well.
best one,
Yeah,
the best one. Yes.
yeah. And because she's a good student, she doesn't ask me many questions. She has given me total trust.
Hmm.
And I want to make sure I never violate that trust. So I always give her the best advice possible. But
Hmm.
here is the lesson for everybody who's watching, because that lesson applies to me as well. Is like in any area of our lives, if we are not getting the result we want, we are continuously getting frustrated, there is a reason for it. And
Yes.
the reason is we haven't decided to find a coach or submit to a coach who is the right coach for that particular area. Is that making sense to you what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yes. Oh, 100%. Um, and when I first started and I found out about coaching, I it was a self-help book that I read, and I was like, this is amazing. And one of the things that she talks about in the self-help book was getting a coach. And once I started looking into it, like this is like a whole field. Like this is a whole field. Like when I thought coach initially, I thought, oh, you just need somebody to coach like a team, right? Or, maybe get yourself, in shape. I had no idea that you could have a coach for pretty much any goal that you wanted to do in life. And so that's why I tell all of my listeners, I tell, and especially I wrote in my book, like get yourself a coach because it's a game changer and you'll get there so much faster. So like you said, so absolutely. Um,
Do you mind if I jump in?
Absolutely, please do. Yes.
Because you mentioned your book.
Yes.
So long ago, I was told you should write a book. So I started
Mhm.
writing a book called Stop Stopping, Start Starting. Sounded like a great title,
Ah.
except I stopped. Okay. And I didn't know where to go, right? I had my binder and everything else. You know how the process of book writing is.
Yes.
And then I decided I needed to hire a coach. So roughly $10,000 later, a year plus later, I knew exactly how to write and publish a book. So now I have published
Beautiful.
12 books, and I can
12.
help somebody write a book in a day today, right? You tell if you have good content, I can help you write a book in a day. Why? Because I went through the training and coaching process.
That's amazing. That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing that. I had no idea that you could do that too. See? Amazing. So, final question. What's your advice for those who are interested in starting a cat cafe?
Good question. So first of all, if you don't have enough passion for something you're going to do, don't do it, right? Okay.
See, that's so
Yeah.
important. That's
Yeah,
like chapter
because
2 of my book.
passion, very good. The passion is critical because if you don't have enough passion, at some point you will run out of steam. That just is normal because what will happen in every business, sooner or later, it takes longer, it is harder, and it takes more money and time than you thought it would, right? Okay. And that will always happen. So unless you have enough passion for it, you will stop. So that's the one thing which I would highly recommend people to pay attention to. Number
Such good advice.
two
Yeah.
is remember, this is a retail business. And hence, if you don't have a detailed plan for a retail business where you know how to bring in the traffic, how to make
Mm-hmm.
sure you can sell them the right stuff, have
Mm-hmm.
additional sources of income, which is
Mm-hmm.
one thing which most retail stores never have. They
Mm-hmm.
only believe that the person who walks in, buys whatever they buy at that time is the only source of income. No, you should be thinking of multiple sources of income which don't limit your income. So, for example, maybe you're already doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first thing which comes to my mind is, okay, are you selling merchandise connected with your business? Okay,
Yes.
because if you are, then obviously that's a plus, number one. Number two is how can you be a resource to the people who are walking in looking for certain specific items connected to cats, as an
Mm-hmm.
example, right?
Yes.
And you become an affiliate distributor for all of these products and services which are going to be required by these people, as an example. So when you open a retail business, if you think that the products that you are selling in your place and the time that people spend there for whatever they do is the only source of income, you're going to limit your source of income because in today's world that we live in, you have to create demographically and geographically diverse sources of income from the very location you currently have. Do you
I
see
love
where I'm
that.
coming from?
Yes, and that's one of the things that we do for in our cat cafe. One of the things that I talk about is having different events, right? Your cats are going to be your biggest source of revenue, and you need to draw people into the cat room as much as possible, not just to see the cats, but also to paint with the cats, to do yoga with the cats, to have a party with the cats, to have a sound bath with the cats. So those are a bunch of different events that we have tried to create in our particular cat cafe to help draw more people in. So that's absolutely some wonderful, wonderful advice.
And also
Um,
have something on online that you could,
mhm.
because like
Oh yes, online,
like
your
yes,
online store.
the hurricane just came here, right?
It did.
People would not have been able to come to your store. You could lose income at that time. But if you have an
Yes.
online portal,
Hmm.
right? If you are coaching other people, like you have your book about, how to start your own cat cafe business. So if you have other ways to create income, which is physically not demanding at your store,
Hmm.
you're not limiting yourself.
That's right. That's so true. Yeah, we just had Hurricane Milton come by, and that was our first time that we had to evacuate the cats in 4 years of being here. So that was a lot of fun. But well, thank you, Minesh. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. If anybody would like to reach you, how can they reach you?
Very good point. So obviously I'm available on Facebook, LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
other places. But here is the key. If you are somebody who is a serious business owner and you
Mhm.
really want to grow your business to the next level, I would love to give you 15, 30 minutes of coaching time for free, because if you are serious about getting where you want to go, you are the person I really want to help get there, because your success story means a lot more to me, because the more you are successful, the more you will inspire other people as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, that just makes me want to sign up right now. So, well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Minesh, for your time. We've learned so much about why business coaching is very important for reaching your goals faster and in an easier manner, right? So it's faster and easier. So that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time.
I really enjoyed the time with you as well, and I love your energy. Keep sharing that.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Drinks and Whiskers podcast. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to like this episode, subscribe, and leave an honest review. If you want more information, you can purchase the Drinks and Whiskers book right now on Amazon.com, or you can reach me at Angeli@wittywhisker.com. Now it's time to get out there and start your Cat Cafe dream. How will you warm hearts with a drink and a whisker?